Hello my friends, this is Amner Hunter from amnerhunter.com. In today's video I'm gonna be checking out 3 free VST plugin alternatives to one of today's industry standard equalizers. Of course I'm talking about the Pro-Q 3 by Fab Filter. In this video I'm gonna be checking out the features of this equalizer and comparing the features of the other 3 alternatives that I gathered. I'm gonna be checking out these equalizers in action and hopefully give you a very good insight of these free alternatives that might get you there in case that you don't have the money to buy this Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 plugin. All of the applicable links are going to be down below in the description and first comment, and don't forget to check out the timestamps as well that I'll leave you down below. Thank you very much for being here and welcome. Before we dive into the content, my friends, I would like to invite you to my website amnerhunter.com, where I have some free stuff for you. I have some free PDF guides and ebooks for music producers and guitar players. Also, I have some free tools available, such as a huge collection of guitar impulses, my Cubase mixing template, among other utilities. And finally, don't forget to check out my blog and this channel, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. So now, let's get straight to the video. Let's start with Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 and check out some of the features and most important controls. So first of all, you have here the bands. You can create or choose up to 24 bands. Tons of control over the frequency spectrum. Very cool. You have 9 different EQ curves. If you select one of these dots, you can select the type of curve, this bell, or also you have a low shelf, a low cut, right? High pass filter as well. Also, you can choose high shelf here, which is this. And then you have the high cut or low pass filter, also called. Then you have the notch. You can set it here, for instance, in a frequency. And then you have this curve. Then you have pretty interesting curves where you boost one part of the spectrum and cut other parts. Also, you have that tilt, right? Like that. You can solo each of the individual dots or frequencies that you chose. You can change the frequency here by double clicking and just putting your frequency, or you can also set it here, right? With this knob. Also, you have the gain control here and the Q control. For instance, in this curve, the curve of the Q, you can bypass or close any dot that you selected pretty easily. You can also set the decibels of cut or boost. You can, for instance, put 2 decibels. On each band that you add, you have different decibels per octave. It will change the curve depending on that. As you see here, for instance, here also on the high pass filter, you can set it up to 96 decibels per octave or brick wall, right? It's cutting very aggressively. I prefer to use 12, 18 sometimes for high pass filters or low pass filters to have a more natural curve and decay. I would say 12 is my favorite. So you have a lot of control. Also, you see here the frequency spectrum, right? To be able to see how the sound is behaving. So you can close with this X pretty easily create, get rid of the curves of the bands, and you can move from each band to the other with this pretty easily. So tons of control, and I love the workflow most of all. It's pretty easy to work fast inside this plugin. Also, if you right click on each band, you can do some other things. You can make the band dynamic, meaning that it's behaving like a compressor in that band, and by default is in auto threshold, right? Also, you can put it in manual threshold, so you can dial how much compression in that band will occur based on the threshold that you set here. You can leave it in auto. The more you lower the gain, the more compression you're also gonna be having in that band. This is of course a dynamic equalizer. All of the bands, you can make them dynamic pretty easily. You can clear the dynamics. Also, you can change the shape of the curve here, notch and all that. the slope. And another thing pretty cool that you can do with this plugin, it's the mid-side processing. You can change the stereo placement for each band. For instance, here I'm affecting the whole stereo spectrum, right? Left, right, the center, everything. So I can stereo place this in the middle. It will change the color. So I am affecting only the center of the mix and can only affect the sides as well. Only pretty useful to have that. For mastering also, it's one technique that I'm gonna show you at the end of the video. You can also set that band here to stereo, mid, and side, or only the right or only the left. And it changes the color. If you also click on this scissor that you have here, it will split the band into right and left. You have here in the right the meter or the gain. You can also set the Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 to full screen. It has a 4K resolution in full screen, pretty cool. Down here in the left corner, you have this little keyboard that you see here. Will show you the keyboard roll, where you can know specifically in which key is a certain frequency. For instance, this one, it's in F sharp 2. It's pretty small. Just click on it and it will appear and it will turn off. Also, another important feature about the Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 is the zero latency mode, the natural phase, and linear phase mode. Natural phase will behave more closely to an analog equalizer, right? The curves, the amplitude, and also the phase. And the linear phase works more for mastering, for instance. It will consume more CPU. It will have some latency. Linear phase will not change the phase of the sound, will only change the magnitude and amplitude. Because let's remember that sometimes equalizers can mess up with the phase, especially in mastering. This is more towards mastering applications. For mixing, I use zero latency. For mastering, I use linear phase mode with a low or medium resolution, right? Also, something very cool that you have here, some advanced options. If you click on this button, it will allow you to get this in the frequency spectrum, where it shows you the points where the frequency is having some peaks, right? Then you can go ahead and grab this point, for instance, and notch it or boost it. Also, with this, you can add an external source. This equalizer will let you know if there are any clashing frequencies, some masking that could be happening. Also, it has a very cool EQ match feature where you can match the EQ curve pretty accurately with some external source. You can use an external sidechain, meaning an external source of sound. To be honest, I don't use the EQ match feature. I try to use mostly my ears if I want to get close to a reference track, for instance. Here, you can also bypass the plugin if you click on this. The last controls that you have here, this is an auto gain to compensate. This is a phase flip, and you also can bring up the volume or bring it down, this output level. This one is for the output pan, right and left, mid and side, or left and right. Pretty cool that you have this undo. If you do something and made a mistake, you can just click the undo or redo. You have some pretty cool presets here for different instruments and different applications. So now let's put this plugin into action here very quickly on this mix. I have it on my mix bus or master channel.
You see what
Now let's move on with the TDR Nova, which is the first free alternative to Fab Filter. This equalizer can be turned also into a dynamic equalizer, so pretty cool. First of all, you have 4 bands here. Also, you have additionally high pass filter and low pass filter. You have the slope here and here of the filters. You can set the frequency here. You can turn off the band with this, or you can turn them off here. You can solo each band, and you can go through each band by doing this. You can also set the curves in bell like this, or in low shelf. Let me get rid of this. Low shelf, also high shelf, or curve, or low shelf. You have the Q control here, or in the mid curves to make it narrower or wider. You select the frequency here, the gain, boost or cut, and you can get rid of each band by double clicking on it. Pretty simple. You double click and you create one band. You change also the type of curve with the right click, bell, high shelf, and low shelf. You can turn each band into dynamic, right? You click on this threshold and you start lowering the threshold control, and it starts to compress that band specifically. You have more control than Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 because you have here the ratio. For more compression, you also have the attack and the release time. Very cool to have that. The Fab Filter Pro-Q 3 only has a threshold control. It doesn't have the attack, release, or ratio. So you have more control over the compression here. With the GR Delta button, you can listen only what the compressor is doing, and with this, only what the equalizer is doing. You can bypass the plugin with this. You have the output gain to level match. Here you can turn on the frequency analyzer, the input, output, the sidechain as well, or you can turn it off. I'm gonna leave it in out. You can also process mono signals or stereo signals. The sum means the center of the mix. The diff is the sides of the mix, or you can process left and right independently. And dual mono. You have here some presets. You can A/B test. You have here 3 modes: Eco, Precise, and Precise Plus for more quality. Obviously, it will consume more CPU if you engage the Precise Plus. I always have it in Precise. You can also use internal sidechain or external sidechain. And here in the advanced options, you can change this processing to highest quality rendering. Pretty cool equalizer. Let's take a listen to some processing that I did to this mix.
Can you see what's coming down? Finals roll the birds of back. We're tied to the streets of forces of the air. Aos sonhos do caos, onde a cegueira te mata. Distante de vira essência dessa rebeldia. De noite, noite e dia, de noite, noite e dia. Eu vou buscar o que é nosso diante da multidão sem. What's coming in? Move on for the nonsense of the upright. Can you see what's coming down? Finals roll the birds of back. We're tied to the streets of forces of the air. Aos sonhos do caos, onde a cegueira te mata. Dessa rebeldia. De noite, noite e dia, de noite, noite e dia. Eu vou buscar o que é nosso diante da multidão sem.
Then we move on with the Mequalizer from Melda Production Audio. This is another free alternative to Fab Filter Pro-Q 3. This plugin cannot be turned into dynamic equalizer, but I like some of the features like the mid-side processing. Also, you can solo each frequency. You have the frequency analyzer here. So you have 6 bands that you can choose from. Right-clicking, you can turn it into peak, peak analog, low shelf, high shelf, low pass, high pass, band pass, or notch, right? You have 8 different types of curves that you can choose from here. I'm gonna choose, for instance, a low pass here. You have the frequency control and the Q control as well. You have different slopes You can disable the band by clicking here, or also just double click and it disappears. If you engage the auto listen function here, you're gonna listen only what's going on in that band. Pretty useful. You're only listening to that band. If you click on it, you disable it. Also, you can zoom in with your mouse wheel or zoom out. For more precise moves, you can go back and zoom out pretty easily. Also, you can pause the frequency analyzer behind. You can invert gain here, and you can go through each band with these numbers that you have here. You have the dry wet knob here, the output control to compensate. You even have a saturation control here to add a little bit of subtle harmonics, and you have also control over those harmonics here, right? You can add some different order of harmonics. You have the meters here for the output or input. This one comes very in handy to level match the input and output. You can get rid of these meters by clicking here. To change any given band into mid-side processing, you have to enable the toolbar here. It will give you some very interesting options, right? So by default, you have the LR. You can set it only on the left, the right, only the middle, only the sides, or mid and side, which is the one that I like to use a lot. For instance, you can put this high pass filter, right click, and you can use it only on the sides, right? It will change the color. So that's something that I do. I only get rid of some things on the sides, and also I get rid of some things only in the middle. Now let's take a listen to the processing that I did.
Open up your ears, can you see what's coming here? Move on for the nonsense of the upright. Can you see what's coming down? Final shroud of birds of back. We take to the streets of forces of the earth.
Aos sonhos do caos, onde a cegueira te mata. Instante do mal, inevitável. Verdade vira essência dessa rebeldia. De noite, noite e dia, de noite, noite e dia. Buscar o que é nosso diante da multidão sem.
Can you see what's coming here? Move on for the nonsense of the upright. Can you see what's coming down? Final shroud of birds of back. We take to the streets of forces of the earth.
Aos sonhos do caos.
Now let's go with the other free alternative to Fab Filter Pro-Q3. This is the Equalizer from Tone Boosters. And although this is a demo version of the paid one, this demo doesn't expire, and the only limitation that it has is that you cannot save presets. But everything is in full here on this demo version. So you click here on demo version and you can use it fully. You have a lot of bands also for control. It has a similar vibe and also workflow to Fab Filter. Each of these bands, you have this thing that pops up whenever you change band. So if you click in any band, you can change different curves, low shelf, and you have different low shelves, high shelf, right? So tons of control as well on each individual band. You can solo also the individual band. You have the gain control. You have the frequency control here, similar to Fab Filter, and the Q control. With your mouse wheel, you can change this. You can get rid of that band, or you can turn it off only. And any band, you can also turn it into dynamic equalization. If you click on this button, it will enable that compression, right? You have tons of control. You have the ratio, the attack time, you have the release time here, and the makeup gain here. And you have the threshold control here, which will start to compress. Each band, it's capable of doing that with compression, right? So yeah, tons of control. You can get rid of that compression just by clicking on that button. Also, you have this control. You can set it here on side only or in the middle only. Pretty cool. Or you can only have the left side or affect only the right side. You select the two, you're gonna have the linked channels. If you make a move and you make a mistake, just click on this undo. You also have an analyzer here behind. Also, you have an artificial intelligence assistant here, which will give you a preset of different genres or instruments. Pop 70s, 80s, pop acoustic. Also, you can track the output, the input, and the sidechain. You have a no latency button here, and you have HQ for high quality processing, which will consume more CPU power, of course. Also, you have this amount control where you can set like a dry wet control. You have the output, right, to compensate. You can do that with your mouse wheel or reduce the gain in the output section. And you can have also a meter for the volume or the gain that you have in the output, the input and output. You can also change different colors of the visual interface. Pretty cool. By default, it's in Star Ignite. Let's take a listen to something that I did to this mix using this plugin.
Open up your ears, can you see what's coming here? Hold on for the... Can you see what's coming down? Final throw. Spirits of forces will be
Aos olhos do caos, onde a cegueira te mata. Distante do mal, que inevitável te ataca. A verdade que é nosso diante da multidão sem.
what's coming here. Hold... You see what's coming down? Final throw, the burst of back. Return to the spirits of forces will be here. Open up your ears, can you see what's coming here? Hold on for the nonsense of the upright. Can you see what's coming down? Final throw, the burst of back. Return to the spirits of forces will be here.
Aos olhos do caos, onde a cegueira te mata. Distante do mal, que inevitável te ataca. A verdade.
Please let me know down below in the comments, my friends, what are your thoughts on these free alternatives? Are you one of the users of Fab Filter? Do you think these three alternatives that I presented you here are up to the game? Are you a user of one of these free alternatives, or what do you think about them? Let me know. I'll be more than glad to read your comments about it. Before we go, my friends, I would like to invite you to my website, amnohunter.com. I have some free stuff for you. I have some free PDF guides and ebooks for music producers and guitar players. Also, I have some tools available, such as a huge collection of guitar impulses, my Cubase mixing template, among other utilities. And finally, don't forget to check out my blog and this channel, which I'm updating weekly with tons of free content. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you very soon on the next one. Alright, take care.